raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
The rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Thunder breaks, the ground is shaking from the weight. Voices crying in the night, but freedom burns a steady light. We hold the line, we won't let go. Through every trial, the truth will show. This is your daily dose. Open your eyes, see through the smoke, see through the lies. Rise from the silence, hear freedom's call. One voice, one people, united we stand tall.
Hearts awaken, chains undone. A new day breaks, the dawn has come. Through every battle, through the flame, our faith in God remains the same. The storm may rage, the night may fall, but hope will answer stronger than all.
This is your daily dose. Courage and fire, lifting the weak, lifting us higher. Not by the sword, but the truth we recall. Where we go, we go. We've seen the darkness try to reign. We felt the sorrow, we've known the pain. But every trial has forged the steel. In God we trust, His plan is real.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. Hope everybody out there is doing well and is having a great, fantastic start of their week. I had to move my mic closer. It was pretty far away. I took it with me to GARP, but unfortunately, hotel internet blows donkey dick. But had a great time at the Great American Restoration Tour. Great meeting a lot of you guys out there. It was a phenomenal time. Great panels, great time with good friends. And so that was one event that we have. And then the next event is coming up here at the end of July 24th to 26th in Eureka, Missouri. Make sure that you guys are getting in on that. That's just a camping trip. That's where we just hang out. I'm there. Get to hang out with me. Thinking about doing a live stream from there, but we got to get the gear and stuff like that. So trying to work out the logistics of that. My brother, Jeremy, how you doing, man? Saw you in the chat. Hey, brother, I will see you in a few days because you guys ready for this? Some more sad news. No show on Wednesday. No show on Wednesday. Because I'm driving to New York to see my family for the 4th of July. It's kind of like the annual family holiday trip, if you want to call it that. But there will be a show Thursday and most likely Friday. So just keep that in mind that we will be doing shows this week, just no Wednesday this week. Because the show must go on. Tonight, the American Revolution 2.0 is what we are talking about. And give me a 5-5 out there if you can hear me. If you can hear me good. The reason I ask is just because every time I disconnect, I have to reset up, and I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me good. And see who hears me first. Oh, that's the one. I'm looking. Green Mountain Girl's like, I'll be in New York for the 4th too. Oh my God. I'll be in Western New York though, like 800 miles away from New York City. No, not New York. Other side of New York. Western New York, Rochester, Buffalo, more conservative over there. But man, what do we miss? We missed some good stuff here with President Donald Trump and with the White House. A lot of different comms going on. Alpha frantically called me last night after he landed. He's like, "Oh my God, did you see this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did. Isn't that crazy?" And we'll check out what that is here in just a minute. We're also going to talk about that tomorrow on DEF CON. But just to get things going, I mean, it's been a little while since we have chatted, so I want to get everything all set up so everybody knows what's going on. First thing, most importantly, how do we stay connected, especially when there's no shows and all this other stuff going on? Red Pills TV, guys. Redpills.tv. I make it so easy. REDPILLS.tv. All right, go on over there. That's the website right there. Like, no, it didn't come up. Hold on. Let me pull that thing. Let me pull that bad boy up. Redpills.tv. There you go. Go on over here. And then when you scroll down, what you're going to see is Dart will be taken off of here because obviously that was last week. But the annual family camping trip, you can get all the information you need right there and a way to RSVP. All the different ways to follow me and find out what's going on with the Red Pill Project. All of our Substack. Yes, we have some Substacks coming. All of our show information, our merch information, workshop information, sponsor information, support info, all of it's over there. So redpills.tv, guys, if you want to go out there, help support us, follow us on other platforms, that definitely does help. So much appreciated over there. I got Gabe. Gabe's going to be coming in here with us in a little bit. I want to get through a few different things before we get to Gabe. Because there's just some cool things that have happened over the course of the last week or so since we haven't talked. Donald Trump, we'll pull this one over here. We're going to pull that one over there. X22, Dave over at X22, he said, Q post 1643 from June 28th, 2018 says, we are waiting for a reporter to ask the ultimate question. What are they waiting for? They can end this at any time simply by asking POTUS. We may have to force this one. Trump is now flooding Truth Social with Q post correlations, Q timestamps, Q style White House graphics, Department of War Q memes, activation words, all of it designed to force the fake news into asking the question on camera. Trump already answered it in 2020. Is saving the world from problems supposed to be a bad thing? And what is he talking about from 2020? Trump right here. I got the clip. Yes, I do. The weird thing is all my X tabs are muted, so I have to go in there and manually unmute them. And Trump goes in here, right here. Listen to this one.
Do you know who Anonymous is? I don't want to say but you'd be surprised.
I don't want to say, but you'd be surprised. I mean, that's more confirmation than anything right there. And you got to wonder. You got to wonder what's going on. I mean, this is what Dave over at X22 is actually talking about, right? Donald Trump posts this image right here on his True Social the other day. Well, that's interesting. I've seen that image before. That's from 4205, May 11th, 2020. The war is real. He fights for you. This came after all of Donald Trump's communist posts, talking about communists. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But something happened on DEF CON. On DEF CON last week, we were talking, so this is on Badlands Media, DEF CON 0. We were talking about how on Friday night on OnlyLands, which I left early, and they continued talking, but they started talking about the spelling of Democrat, how Donald Trump's been saying Democrat, Democrat. And they're talking about the spelling of Democrat, whether it's with a B or without a B. And the next day, 11 hours later, Donald Trump posted a poll asking, how do you spell it? Is it with a B or without a B? Which that was kind of a coincidence. That's pretty crazy. Well, the other day on DEF CON, we were talking about this specifically. And this is what Alpha and I had to say. And I want you to listen to this because it doesn't get much crazier than this, guys.
Watch.
Oh, I got to unmute the damn tab. Me and muting tabs.
Watch his Rumble. And anything that's on the big screen, he maybe clicks on. And if that's the case, we've been on the big screen tonight. I don't know if we're still on there, but I would assume if the old man is not, I don't want to call him the old man. We are still on the big screen. I would assume that if our great president, President Trump, I like to call him the old man because I look at him as like a father figure, that if he's watching, sir, let's give a where we go one, we go all out. Let's see it. Dan Scavino, White House, or Trump. Let's see a where we go one, we go all. That would be awesome. I think that morale would boost immensely if we saw a WWG1GA.
I would love that. And if I have a little bit of, if I could be a little salty, boss, if I could be a little salty, if maybe we can throw a JFK speech or maybe even show the bell,
So Alpha asked for a JFK the next day. Donald Trump posted a JFK speech. The timestamp, this is Mountain Time, was 10:28. 10:28. This is where it gets crazy, guys. Remember, Alpha asked for a JFK speech, right? Trump posted a JFK speech at 10:28. Look at post 10:28. Five. Q plus. Loud and clear. Q plus, President Trump. I don't believe in coincidences, people. That is just too damn real. People are like, oh my God, you think Trump listened? I don't know, maybe. But someone did, and they got Trump to post all that. Because that is, as many as we have seen over the course of the last 5 years, over the course of the last just 6 months doing this, it is too much, too real, too mathematically impossible for it to just be a coincidence all those times. That's nuts. Come on. That is absolutely nuts. Dave, it's crazy, isn't it?
That's wild, man. And if you're listening out there, Mr. President, you can just mention GOODBRU in one of those posts too.
How we doing, Dave? How we been, buddy?
That is wild. That is so amazing, and so much is going on in this world, and this communist thing is for real, and Elon Musk is jumping out in the bandwagon because it is. There's so many people in this country who are just oblivious to the history. And I think, we grew up during the Reagan era and all of that. And the Cold War was still in its, end of its period. And I think we were more aware of of communism. And a lot of people, would still, talk a lot about all the books and things that have written about communism and the death tolls. And it's really, I don't know if this generation, not their fault. I just don't know if they've been taught, it's scary because so many people have died under communism. But yeah, we were doing great. I just posted before the show the July 4th special. We've got the one that we always do, that people like is the buy the large, get the free small, and then use Red Pill in addition. It's already a good deal, the large plus the free small, and then you add Red Pill to that. and you get another 10% off. So that's that deal that people love so much. And then we also have the two large deal for when you add the Red Pill special, it's about $99.99. And with that, we've got this cool tumbler just to throw in there. It's 250th anniversary tumbler. It's keepsake. Now these tumblers, the printer that print these are so, I mean, they put so much detail into this, but I'm working with the printer. It was new to them too, doing these. So be gentle with these when you're washing them. Just wash out the inside. I'm talking to them about how to do a better job of getting this to make sure it's more durable. But they do this really fantastic printing here of this. So that's just free with the two by themselves is always a good deal. When we do that for $99, I mean, that's a fantastic deal in and of itself. The tumbler is just a bonus on top of that, and use Red Pill for that as well. I was at the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, which is quite an American tradition, and really it was awesome. But we got a lot of questions, when I talk to people. Of course, using and how much to use. It's always very individual, but I want to just say, most customers are between 1 and 2 scoops. I would say probably leaning towards 1 scoop, but we also have customers who use less than 1 scoop. They use like a half a scoop, and we have a few customers that even use quite a bit more than 2 scoops. And it ranges a lot. The gut is unique to every individual. It's so important to every aspect of our health, but it also varies a lot from individual to individual. And when I was at the festival, I was talking to a functional medicine doctor who likes our product, and he would say, like, there's people that are real sensitive to the fiber. It might be because they have, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And so when you add the fiber, you're not just feeding the good stuff and the Bacillus coagulans that we have in here, but you're also feeding everything that's, that's there in your small intestines. And so if you're leaning towards that issue with, and you might not even know you have SIBO, he recommended fasting before starting the GOODBRU. And I really agree with that a lot. We also have had people who have just gone really, really small, slowly, even skipping days. And now they're regular users of the product because it has helped them. And I spoke to one of your guys today on the phone, and he just ordered another three pack. It's helped his wife a ton. So just another. I told him, hey, if you get a chance, send Josh a message and let him know how it's helping. But so just that with using it, start with a half a scoop, and then use it for about a week like that, and then see where you're at. But if you're real sensitive stomach, you might want to just stay with a half a scoop, or even skip days or that kind of thing. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's people who just seem to like to use a lot. I'm 2 scoops a day, but I think most people are probably more towards 1 scoop a day. So that's a question that gets asked, and I just wanted to throw it out there. And, with so many things with their gut health, the gut lining, we've had these athletes. We've got another runner who's starting to use the product. He's an ultra marathoner. This guy is like running 100-mile races, but he's like hitting 70 miles and having to drop out of the race because of stomach problems. So he's going to start. We have that other runner it really got them over the hurdle, and they set a course record. So this guy, we'll see what happens. It'll probably be a while before I get a report back from him, but he's just started using the product as well. Microplastics. I think there's these people are out there saying, are microplastics a real deal, not a real deal? Personally, I believe that they are. And the reason I do is because the human cell is pretty big. All of our cells are quite large cells. And so these microplastics are a lot of them are significantly smaller than the size of a human cell. So if you got something that's significantly smaller than a human cell, it's a good chance that it's going to be able to find its way into a cell. And the only thing they know right now to really defend against microplastics is the gut lining. And one of the main things to do that is soluble fiber. So GOODBRU obviously has the soluble fiber. So in many other aspects of our health, from constipation to more and more stories about acid reflux and helping people with acid reflux to, all these other issues, heartburn, chronic constipation, all of these different things, as in addition to, protein utilization, immune function, all these things, the 25 clinical studies behind this strain of Bacillus coagulans that we use, and how important it is to use that with a soluble fiber. I mean, all of these things, are just on and on and on. I was reading a good book called Missing Microbes. If anybody's a reader out there, it's a really good book called Missing Microbes by a guy named Martin Blazer. He's quite renowned in microbiology and all that kind of thing. But we talk about antibiotics and staying off of antibiotics, but almost anybody living in the Western world hasn't been able to avoid antibiotics, and the majority of antibiotics are used in the agricultural industry. And he was making this point in the book. It's it's given in micro doses, to farm animals. Now this is with anybody living pretty much today has been exposed to this. They have improved on this. They have been cracking down on it. But the thing is they give this to the animals not as just a preventative for disease, but it actually causes the animals to get fat. And so that should tell us something about antibiotics. And it's because of the disruption of the microbiome. So two things. One is you've been getting exposed to antibiotics and you need to take defense against it. The other thing is, so you don't think your microbiome is important, just think if you can use my antibiotics to fatten up animals because it disrupts the microbiome, it's disrupting our microbiome as well. So
awesome. Well, Gabe, I appreciate you, brother. And man, that was a load of information.
Yeah, I'm trying to spit it.
No, it's good. It's good. And Gabe will be coming on with us here in another few weeks. But guys, go out there, check out Gabe over at GOODBRU, GOODBRU.com/redpill. And you can get that July 4th special over there. And I saw some people asking, what is the product? It is a Gabe, what
organic?
Is
So GOODBRU it's very simple. It's 2 ingredients. We use no artificial preservatives or anything of that. So organic soluble fiber, inulin fiber. That's the kind of fiber our microbiome has evolved on. It's the kind of fiber that's all kinds of research is backing as being the type of fiber that really feeds the microbiome. And a well-studied probiotic called Bacillus coagulans. It's a spore-forming probiotic that's found in the soil and nature. It's a transitory probiotic that supports the colonizing microbes we get from our mothers at birth. And because it's a spore, it survives through the stomach and the stomach acid, and it also survives in hot coffee or tea or any of those things, which are nowhere near as harsh of an environment as our stomach. So it's very convenient to use. It has no flavor. You won't even know it's in your coffee or your yogurt or juice or bone broth or whatever you just choose to put it in. And it's in and of itself, it's very much studied to do some very specific things, but it's also a very good product for fundamentally supporting the colonizing microbes, the lactobacillus and bifidobacteria, what we call the keystone probiotics that we get from our mothers at birth. So
awesome.
All right.
GOODBRU.com/redpill. Gabe, we will see you here in a few weeks, my friend. Take care. Have a great 4th of July, man.
You too. Take care.
Yep. All right, guys. GOODBRU is spelled GOODBRU.com/redpill. Go give them a visit over there. Support those who support us. Much appreciated. And tons of testimonials in the chat if you haven't seen. And then also in the chat, Godwin6389 sent a GOAT trophy, 1,000 jewels over there on YouTube. Thank you so much, Godwins. And then we have Boston Girl sent some sun balloons, 500 jewels over on YouTube. Thank you so much, Boston Girl. And I think we had one more come in. Yep, Soar047 sent a Bubble Heart 1,500 jewels. Thank you so much, Soar047, and all of you people over there on YouTube. Much appreciated on that. Looking on Rumble, nothing going on Rumble. But hey, look, I'm going to go on over here and we're going to go into the news. This is the reason you guys are all here. You're like, Josh, just get to the fucking news. I'm here for the news. I know. Let's get into the news. Donald Trump this weekend. What did he say? The communists are finally making their move. I've been watching and preparing for this for a long time. It's easy to be a communist. All you have to do is say, I'll give you everything. But that means you're taking it away from others that have earned it over 1,000 years. That ideology has not worked once. The game is on. Enjoy watching President Donald J. Trump. Wow. Massive post. So I have to go back to the DEF CON video. So the DEF CON video with the proof that I just showed you with Trump, the timestamp, this is crazy. If you go back a week before on DEF CON, Alpha and I were talking, and he mentions JFK, and I said that, hey, JFK was good friends with Senator McCarthy, which brought about McCarthyism and the search for the communists and the pinkos. I believe that JFK was killed because he was unrooting the communist infiltration. That was a week ago on DEF CON. Then this DEF CON with that timestamp. Crazy. Now Trump posts this, obviously because DC mayor won the mayoral election. There's some timestamps that go along with this one. not just timestamps, but deltas that go along with this one. Two very famous communists, George Soros and Rothschild, right there. No matter what happens, media will not push the truth. This goes all into it. And then you are under the threat to kill we are under threat of kill every second of the day. Those who you trust the most are the most evil. This is not a game. Humanity is at stake. No spelling error is intended. Mobile unknown if above. So Trump here, very important. That ideology has not worked once. The game is on. I've been waiting for this my whole life. So what was the timestamp that correlated directly with this? I like this one. After Trump posted this, 3 hours and 48 minutes later, he posted a video of Kennedy discussing communist subversion in the United States of America. 3 hours and 42 minutes, or 3 hours and 48 minutes later. The end is near. And this is the same indication that we've been getting from Trump over the course of the last few weeks, as well as Scavino. The end is near, that the show is about to stop, all of this stuff, which means that we are coming into that time frame, I believe, a revolutionary time frame, starting at July 4th, 2026 to July 4th, 2027, when shit is going to hit the proverbial fan, that the war is going to move from silent, from unknown to in your face. Not the war necessarily on being you, the war on the communists, the war on the infiltration, the prosecutions, the indictments. This is what we're all hoping for. Donald Trump, again on Truth Social, communism is the greatest threat to our country since World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, or 9/11. He's telling you that this is a war, a massive war. So this weekend, we learned that Elon Musk has reportedly surged over $85 million to help MAGA Republicans and President Trump in the 2026 midterms. Now, why is that? The reason being is because we have to win the midterms at all costs. We'll talk about the Supreme Court decision here in a little bit and what that means, but that was a huge hit, something that we really, really needed and we didn't get. But that might be more indication of why we're actually going to see a national emergency. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But Elon Musk coming back into the ranks, donating almost $100 million towards Republicans, the RNC, is pretty damn huge, considering Soros and others have donated over $100 million towards the Democrats. We hadn't heard much about the fundraising of the Democrats, and now we're finding that it's coming from single sources, of which those single sources might not be able to donate much longer. We'll talk about that here in a second. But first, we had a ceasefire. We had a mutual understanding agreement. And then all of a sudden, Iran wanted to blow the shit out of a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. So President Trump came out and warned Iran that their country will no longer exist if they continue violating the ceasefire. The United States aircraft just struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites for violating the ceasefire agreement. Again, this was tit for tat. It's very possible they will never learn. There may come a point when we are no longer able to be reasonable and will be forced to militarily complete the job that we were very successfully started. And so the United States military went out there and bombed Iranian military surveillance infrastructure, communication systems, air defense sites, and drone storage facilities, and mine-laying capabilities in that strike over the weekend. What came out of it? The United States and Iran had agreed to halt the strikes on each other, with plans to meet Tuesday in Qatar to address concerns over the Strait of Hormuz in Doha. Now, we don't necessarily know what happened there in Iran. I think I have a pretty good idea. If you haven't been following this show that much, if you haven't been watching kind of my content and what we've been talking about for the last 2 to 3 years before anybody was even had Iran on the radar, Iran is factionalized. In other words, before the war even started in Iran, Iran had internal resistance towards the clergy, towards the mullahs, towards the IRGC, which is just the army of the Ayatollah. This actually resulted in the death of President al-Raisi of Iran over Azerbaijan. And this was an internal assassination, I believe, by the Ayatollah to take him out. Now, why is that important? because it shows you that there's people in Iran that aren't radicals, they aren't fundamental Islamics, that they really want to rejoin Western society or the global economic society, and that they want the best for their country. Donald Trump reiterated this just a few weeks ago, that the ones that he is negotiating with, the ones that he is talking with, are the same ones, that these aren't the crazy radicals or the hardliners. But what you do have is you have factions of the IRGC that are still under hardliner or rogue control mechanisms. And I believe that that is what actually struck inside the Straits of Hormuz, and Trump's reaction to that was basically taking out any of those facilities of where those began to originate from. So we'll keep our eyes on Iran. I believe that we might have a few more skirmishes, but all in all, I think that this is pretty much over. All right. We're going to transition away from Iran. We're going to get into some other news, and this is going to be actually the communist, more important news. This is some good stuff, and we have to pay attention to really what I'm about to say here. But first, I got to go ahead and do this Rumble ad real quick. So we're going to read this, and then we're going to jump into the news. We hear a lot about crypto, but here's the part most people miss. Crypto was created so you could actually own and control your money. After the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks. So instead of banks holding your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, you are in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you felt that problem. Now, fast forward today, everyone's heard of crypto, but getting started still feels complicated. That's exactly why I use Rumble Wallet. It takes all that complexity and makes it simple. Choose what you want: Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. No complicated setup. It all connects with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, debit card, or bank and be up and running in minutes. And once you're set up, you can even support your favorite Rumble creators like me directly. So do this now. Scan the QR code and click the link in the description and download the Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. In just a few minutes, you can go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. Now, I'm going to talk about crypto towards the end. We have some economic news that I actually want to talk about. I know people are like, dude, Bitcoin's crashing. Yeah, exactly what we said it should have done a long time ago. We're going to get into that and talk about why that's all happening. And I got a lot of kudos from some really good people this weekend. A person that I respect a lot out there, Kelly. Me and her had a great discussion on the yen carry trade and why all of this is unraveling right now. And what people are actually talking about a bubble is not really a bubble, more as a major correction that's going to happen in the market. But we will talk about that towards the end of the show. We want to get into NGOs, the NGO infrastructure of the communists, and what's really going on. So let's watch this quick little clip right here. And I want you to be amazed at how much money has been funneled to NGOs. It's muted. Hold on. For fuck's sake. Unmute tab. There we go.
The Federal Reserve has revealed that U.S. NGOs have more in assets than the combined 2025 GDP estimates for Japan, Germany, and India combined. India and Japan's GDP each just over $4 trillion, Germany $5 trillion, about $13.5 trillion together. Guess what? The combined assets held by U.S. NGOs equals $14.2 trillion of your tax money and that of your children and grandchildren and great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. Ever wonder why everything is so absolutely unaffordable today? It's not actually rocket science. Government has forgotten the fundamental reasons for which it was formed: to serve and protect our civil liberties. It has inverted the entire formula and decided that we are the ones here to serve, to work, and through our individual labors to support their desires and the behemoth of a bureaucracy that has emanated from those desires.
Okay. Those are some pretty staggering numbers, aren't they? The missing half of the U.S. national debt has been identified. The Federal Reserve confirmed the U.S. Congress has built the single largest racket empire on the planet. U.S. NGOs have combined assets totaling $14.2 trillion of your taxpayer money. India and Japan's GDPs are each over 4 trillion. Germany's is 5 trillion. And together they total about $13.5 trillion. The combined assets of U.S. NGOs equals $14.2 trillion of your taxpayer money. And that's your children, grandchildren, and great-great-great-grandchildren's money. I want you to start thinking about this. Donald Trump has said over and over and over again is that, hey, we need to go get that money back and pay off our national debt. Well, that would mean that there has to be some methodology of showing criminality, that this money was funneled to these NGOs illicitly through Congress for the purpose of driving agendas, and it was illegally obtained, racketeering, if you want to look at it like that. Just the News reported today, a federal grand jury in Manhattan is investigating tech tycoon Neville Roy Sigum for alleged financial crimes. The investigation could link $285 million to left-wing nonprofits. Now, this is interesting. Back in, May and June of 2025, John Solomon of Just the News came out and said that he was aware of 4 active grand juries: Florida, Pennsylvania, New York, and the Eastern District of Virginia. We always asked, what was the one in New York? Now we're finding out that this is potentially the one that is investigating various NGOs. Now, Tony Saruga came out with this very long post, and I'm going to read it to you. If you want to follow Tony out there, give him credit for this. It's at Tony, Seruga on X, okay? He says, the sad part is our intelligence governments knew this was the motion for decades. And the plan for America's 250th birthday was to decimate, destroy, and totally humiliate the West. If anyone defends some NGO as being good, you are talking to a communist enabler. Whether intentional or not, same results. Every NGO receives funding from the Bolsheviks, jihadists, and Marxist demons. At least be honest that you bowed to pressure from the same Bolshevik, jihadist, and Marxist groups to remove Gary Bovino from doing his job, blah, blah, blah. Those funders. The Ford Foundation poured hundreds of millions of dollars into social justice organizations, identity politics NGOs, and critical legal study programs since the 1960s. McGeorge Bundy, Ford president 1966 to 1979, explicitly redirected the foundation towards left activist funding. The Open Societies Foundation, George Soros, with an endowment of $18+ billion at peak, the OSF has been the single largest private funder of progressive political movements globally. Funded Black Lives Matter organizing infrastructure, drug criminalization campaigns, decriminalization campaigns, refugee advocacy, and open borders NGOs. Soros spent an estimated $32 billion total of his foundational network. The Rockefeller Brothers Fund, major funder of climate activism, anti-fossil fuel divestment campaigns, and environmental NGOs that push degrowth economic policies. The Tides Foundation and the Tides Center functions as a money laundering pass-through for wealthy donors who want to fund controversial left-wing causes anonymously. Over $1 billion annually flows through Tides to various activist groups. The Tides Nexus, Tides Foundation, Tides Center, Tides Advocacy, obscures the original sources of funds, a donor-advised fund model that makes tracing nearly impossible. The MacArthur Foundation, heavy funder of criminal justice reform, nuclear disarmament advocacy, and left-leaning journalism outfits. Democracy Alliance, a secretive donor collective of wealthy progressives, Tom Steyer, George Soros, Peter Lewis heirs, etc. That coordinates funding for aligned political infrastructure, think tanks, media outlets, activist training programs. Members commit to $200,000+ annual dues and $1 million in recommended giving. The Arabella Network, which includes 1630 Fund, New Venture Fund, Hopewell Fund, Windward Fund, North Fund et al. The Shell Game Problem. Arabella's structure makes a mockery of campaign finance laws. The IRS rules governing fiscal sponsorship were designed for small community groups sharing a bookkeeper, not for $1 billion political operations. The 1630 Fund can receive an anonymous $50 million donation, spin it up a project with a deceptive name, pour money into state ballot initiatives, and then voters never know who paid for it. It's legalized money laundering for political purposes. Who funds the Arabella network? Because of the donor-advised fund structure, we don't know the full picture, but what's leaked has been reported includes George Soros and the Open Society Foundation, Pierre Omidyar, eBay founder, Hans-Joachim Wyss. This is the Swiss billionaire. Trust me, you're going to hear more about him. The Gates Foundation, Rockefeller Brothers Fund, Code Pink, the anti-war front with some interesting friends. It was founded in 2002 by Medea Benjamin and Jody Evans and others as an anti-Iraq war protest group. Over the past 2 decades, it evolved into something more complex than a simple peace organization. Code Pink's funding is a mix of small donor donations, foundation grants, and some more opaque sources. Ben & Jerry's Foundation, Tides Foundation, Resist Movement, individual progressive donors, Hollywood, Silicon Valley, inherited wealth, speaking fees, and book royalties is one of the ways that they make money. The Iran and the Assad problem. This is where Code Pink departs from simple anti-war activism to something more troubling. Code Pink delegations have reportedly visited Iran, meeting with regime officials and returning with pro-regime talking points. They've hosted events with Iranian state media figures. On Syria, Code Pink has consistently opposed U.S. intervention against Assad, a position that aligns them with Russian and Iranian foreign policy objectives. Benjamin, the founder, has appeared on RT, Press TV, and Sputnik. The group campaigned against sanctions on Iran, Venezuela, and other U.S. adversaries using language that often mirrors others' regimes. Neville Roy Singham, the one we're talking about that's currently under investigation, tech billionaire from behind the left media ecosystem. Singham didn't just write checks. He built an integrated media and political network that spans continents. The Gray Zone. Singham is the primary founder of Max Blumenthal's The Gray Zone. He's married to Jody Evans, yes, the Code Pink co-founder. The Gray Zone's pro-Assad, pro-Russia, pro-Ukraine, anti-NATO coverage is funded by Singham's fortune. Mint Press News, Singham funded. Manar Mushwesh outlet that platforms Syrian regime conspiracy theories, anti-Israel content, and anti-Western narratives. Shanghai Connection. After selling ThoughtWorks, Singham relocated to Shanghai. He's established deep ties with the Chinese state-linked entities and has been praised by Chinese state media. He described himself as a Maoist and has spoken at Chinese Communist Party-aligned events. Singham has praised China's political system. The Singham Network in practice, Gray Zone, Mint Press, and affiliated podcasters, Jimmy Dore, Aaron Mate, Katie Halper, form an interconnected ecosystem. They cross-promote, cross-appear, and share a unified editorial line. America is the global villain. U.S. adversaries are misunderstood or falsely accused. Western media is propaganda machine, true enough, but they built their own equally deceitful propaganda machine. Hans-Joachim Wyss. The Wyss Foundation, founded in 1998, initially focused on land conservation in the American West, has since expanded drastically into the American political advocacy. The Burger Action Fund. Wyss's 501c4 dark money vehicle poured hundreds of millions of dollars into political advocacy, does not disclose donors, but Wyss is the sole funder. The Hub Project. Arabella managed. Wyss is the major funder. The Hub Project ran coordinated campaigns supporting the Iran deal, opposing Trump's tax cuts, and pushing progressive economic messaging. The Center for American Progress. Wyss has given millions to the CAP. League of Conservation Voters. Major Wyss funder. Ballot Initiative Strategy Center. Wyss funded, coordinates progressive ballot measure campaigns across states. Act Blue, the Democratic small dollar laundromat. Act Blue is the Democrats' party's online fundraising platform. It's presented as grassroots small dollar donor tool, and that is it. But also something you have to be aware of. Founded in 2004 by Matt DeBergalis and Benjamin Raw, Act Blue processes donations for Democratic candidates, committees, and progressive organizations. It's a 501c4 nonprofit. In the 2020 cycle, Act Blue processed over $4.8 billion. The grassroots facade. Act Blue's branding emphasizes small dollar donors giving $5 to $10, but the platform is also the conduit for massive dark money flows. Billionaires can donate to Act Blue conduit, PACs, and 501c4s. Act Blue doesn't verify identities in the meaningful way. Prepaid debit cards, gift cards, and anonymous payment methods are accepted. The platform has been flagged for potential smurfing, large donors breaking up contributions into small amounts to evade contribution limits or reporting requirements. Multiple state attorney generals and even watchdog groups have raised concerns about ActBlue's lack of CVV verification, identity confirmation, and use of foreign debit cards and credit cards. And they are currently under investigation by the DOJ. So, why is all of that so damn important? It's so damn important because we are at the threshold. Donald Trump is laying out for you, hey, there's a communist infiltration in our country. It's already happened. We're at war with them. It's a silent war, but it's about to go active. At the same time, you have massive news coming out with Manhattan grand jury is investigating Roy Singham. You have the connection to various different NGOs. Reports from the Federal Reserve coming out that the American NGOs hold $14.7 trillion in assets of taxpayer money that has been given to them over the course of the last 20 years. That's half of our national debt. Start to put all of this together. This is the money train that the Democrats, the left, the communists, the globalists have utilized against the American people to undermine our constitutional republic, to undermine our country, and to destroy America. Now, is the DOJ going to act on this? They fucking better, because if not, well, I miss John Wayne. You guys remember that song? I still miss John Wayne? Because this is how I feel kind of right about now. Listen to this. You'll like it.
Keep your pistols loaded, boys, and right there by your side. You never know what's coming, and it could save your life. 'Cause this world, it's getting wicked, and it's full of evil men. And they may come to kill you, but you don't know where or when. Just take me back to sanity, when men were all still men, and we hung the wicked for the lawless shit they did. But now men will dress like women. Hell, this world, it's gone insane. We've lost all of our heroes, and I still miss John Wayne. Now the wolves are in sheep's clothing, and they prey upon the weak. Just like during COVID, they're hurting them like sheep. And I read it in the Bible, so I think the end is near. 'Cause what's wrong is right, and right is wrong. Truth has disappeared. Just take me back to sanity. The men were all still men, and we hung the wicked for the lawless shit they did. But now men will dress like women. Hell, this world, it's gone insane. We've lost all of our heroes, and I still miss John Wayne. Now woke it is the outcry from the victims they create. They alter little boys and girls, but I say mutilate. So take me back to sanity. The men were all still men, and we hung the wicked for the lawless shit they did. But now men will dress like women. Hell, this world, it's gone insane. We've lost all of our heroes, and I still miss John Wayne. We've lost all of our heroes, and I still miss John Wayne.
I'm here. Don't worry. That's a great little intermission. I wanted to play that so bad. I love that song. And I want you to go and follow. That's Ken Trees Music. And so I want to put him up here because he doesn't have a lot of followers, and that is one of my favorite freaking songs out there. But he is on X. He's also on TikTok, and that's Ken Treese, Kentree Music, and that's on X. Absolutely phenomenal music right there by Ken, and appreciate you, Ken, for letting me use that. I wanted to give a shout out. We had a few super chats come in over on YouTube. Mary Ellen Johnson, $50 super chat, planting good seed in good soil. God bless you, Josh. Oh, thank you so much, Mary Ellen. I appreciate that. And I saw a few more come in, so I want to go down and make sure we get these. And while I'm at it, I should go over to Rumble too, huh? I didn't see anything come in on Rumble, so that's fine. No worries on Rumble. You guys are still awesome, but YouTube is kicking the shit out of you tonight. Lisa CC7986 sent a thumbs up, 10 jewels. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate that over on YouTube. Mary Ellen Johnson, Benjamin. When God says bless, I bless. Thank you so much, Mary Ellen. $100 over on YouTube. Appreciate you there. Oh my goodness, that's 150 she did. Awesome, Mary Ellen. Appreciate you. And Curious Tiberius, 3513. Sometimes you don't see it till you see it. Curious Tiberius, $20 super chat over there on YouTube. Oh, you guys are amazing. And then Tank Girl 77 sent 200 jewels. The flow state. Appreciate you over there. Man, you guys are kicking ass. Sora 047, 2 jewels. Sent some sparkles. Sent some sparkles. And oh my goodness, they just keep on coming in. Sora 047 again, 80 jewels, sent a clock. Jeff Vaza, 1091, $10. You're the one guy who I believe. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate that. Sora 047, again, 100, sent 100, 2 jewels. Appreciate you so much, guys. Thank you, guys. Awesome. And yes, I love that song about John Wayne. It's an amazing song. John Solomon, what does he have to say over here? You got to remember, John Solomon is helping over at ODNI. He knows a lot more than he's leading on to. Listen to this.
Well, listen, you're
not going to listen to it because my damn tabs are muted. Okay, listen to it now.
To get stories out day by day, the president's probably going to tell them. He deserves to tell them he was the object of much of the abuse that we see and have documented. And the one thing I'm most ashamed of in this process is, as much as I've reported on this, and I got it wrong. It is way worse. I now know it's way worse than everything I've chronicled, and I didn't think that was possible.
So I want you to take that comment into consideration. He's working over at ODNI. He is one of the people that are helping discover all of the classified documents, pull them out so they can get declassified. And what did he just say? It's a lot worse than I've even reported on.
So I get a chance to correct my reporting by augmenting what we didn't know. And, listen, the deep state was good at hiding stuff, but it is far worse. And what we need to do is to take each of these anecdotes and not let them be 24-hour windows that disappear into the ether, but to take the facts and these extraordinary revelations that the president has empowered and create a dialogue in America that leads to accountability, change, and for those who tried to do this, a life of shame ahead. We must not only put the people in prison who did what are going to chronicle and which has already been chronicled, we must make it a shame in this country that anyone in the future thinks they can use a government job to impose politics, to impose their will over your freedom, to take your freedom or your reputation without regard to the facts. And that is what we've had. And also to hide from the country. And I think this may be one of the most extraordinary things we'll be able to reveal. There are moments in the last decade where those who were trusted with our security, mostly political appointees, just to be clear, not the men and women on the front lines, they hid from us, the leader we elected, and the body of Congress that we were required to notify major threats to this country and its election system and other apparatus. And they did so because they thought there was a political benefit to the side they were trying to put the thumb on the scale of. That has to, if we want to make this work, we can put people in prison, but there has to be a cultural return to those who do these things should be shamed. They should be ostracized. They should be called un-American for what they did. And that's something the incredible engaged audience of RAV can do. It is.
Okay. So corruption at the highest levels, the deep state bureaucracy. I wanted to give a shout out, Rot and Dog. on YouTube sent 10 joules over there. Thank you so much, Rotten. And then Nikki0702 on Rumble. Glad you're back, Mr. Shows. $20 Rumble rant. Thank you so much, Nikki. I appreciate that. So, Russiagate prosecutor calls audible on the grand jury and the grand conspiracy case. This is from Paul Sperry, Real Clear Politics. And this is a really important read that came out Friday. I'm going to read it for you. What the hell? Why not? Because this is well worth the listen. Although Donald Trump's defenders describe the Russia hoax and other efforts to frame the president as a grand conspiracy, Real Clear Investigations from Paul Sperry has learned that the man now leading the probe of that scandal is pursuing multiple conspiracy prosecutions that are smaller and more manageable, according to several sources with direct knowledge of the probe. Since taking over the Justice Department's far-flung investigation in April, veteran prosecutor Joe DeGenova, people are going to correct me. Sometimes, like, you read and you just can't see. Joe, I can't fucking say it right now. There's too much stuff in my mouth. DeGenova, and his team quickly concluded that combining all the alleged wrongdoing, which ranges from falsifying evidence, committing perjury, to leaking classified information and obstructing justice, into one unified plot and tying them together as a single case would be unmanageable. You have 50 defendants in the courtroom, said a well-placed source familiar with DeGenova's thinking. Before DeGenova took over the investigation 2 months ago, its contours were ill-defined as it lurked ahead and fits. I can't read tonight. DeGenova. I know, that's what I'm saying. DeGenova. That's what I'm saying. But according to the sources, DeGenova is tackling the case with a new disciplined focus, and in so doing so is giving it in the direction it lacked. But this is a change in tactics, not a theory of the case. The sources say his operating assumption is that Trump's enemies in the 2016 Hillary Clinton campaign, the Obama and Biden administration, some Democrats in Congress, and their like-minded accomplices across several government agencies, including the CIA and the FBI, joined in one continuous conspiracy over almost a decade to deny Trump his civil rights, derail his political campaigns, and undermine his presidency. Now that's huge right there, what they just said. Where other investigators have looked at specific pieces of the effort, Trump defenders now call Russiagate after its original origins. DeGenova is launching the first holistic look at the entire scandal. A well-placed source said it is looking at events from June 2015, when Trump first came down at the golden escalator at Trump Tower to announce his candidacy, through 2022 FBI raid at Mar-a-Lago after he left office. Now, that's actually so damn important. I don't care what you think about Patrick Byrne. If you think Patrick Byrne, CIA, ex-CIA, I don't care. Patrick Byrne had a story to tell. One of those stories is that he was recruited to basically take down Trump. And they started back in 2015 in Las Vegas prior to this. That's really important, because now you're seeing that the grand jury and the investigators are looking into all the way back to that point, especially when we start talking about CIA and FBI connections. Insider sources provided RCI with an exclusive look into the specially assigned prosecutor's office and its recent legal maneuvers. It said 2 separate grand juries in South Florida are now collecting and hearing evidence in what would become a series of conspiracy cases brought against people who served in the highest reaches of government, including former CIA Director John Brennan, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, and former Director of the FBI James Comey. Since much of the government's alleged corrupt anti-Trump activity took place in 2016, prosecuting the cases as conspiracies is the only way to get around the 5-year federal statute of limitations. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche tapped DeGenova, a longtime Dizian of Washington, D.C., who was a U.S. attorney during the Reagan administration, to helm the sprawling investigation into what Blanche views as a series of baseless and seditious prosecutions and impeachments of Trump. The acting attorney general has created a special position for Joe with the title counselor to the attorney general. So this is huge. We're seeing momentum in all of this. This comes out on Friday, last Friday, the same time that we find that John Bolton had pleaded guilty to felonies. So his So he must pay a $2.25 million fine, and he can potentially face up to 60 months in prison and forfeits his pension. Now, why is that important? One of the things that Alpha and I have talked about massively is who is going to take the plea bargain first. It was John Bolton, which we could potentially see. When does a bird sing? Right? When does a bird sing? Could it be John Bolton? I already know it's James Comey. I've already told you this. But could Bolton now be throwing people under the bus? So we are seeing this. It's still, I mean, I don't want to say that it's in its infancy because it's still early, but I have a feeling by midterm time frame that we are going to see some indictments. We've talked about this over the course of the last year. Over the course of the last year, a few different things that we talked about would happen during the summer of 2026. Now, I have to look at this from a much larger perspective because of everything that is still happening. We talked about Democrats that are active in Congress and Senate will start resigning. They will have scandals and have to, no longer seek re-election, resign, or they'll lose their primaries. That has been happening. DeGenova. That's what I said. DeGenova. I just say it really fast. One of the other things I said is you're potentially going to see a release of more Epstein files. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The Department of Justice has just got slammed for their handling of the Epstein files. Does this make sense? No, it doesn't. You guys are funny. U.S. District Judge Emmett Sullivan. This is the same Emmett Sullivan that was trying General Flynn back in the day. Said they have to release unredacted files, including those naming alleged co-conspirators, or justify the secrecy by July 2nd. He also ordered the release of comprehensive log detailing every redaction made of the files that has been released. The DOJ is playing the old protecting the victims' identities card, but that's not going to last. In other words, you have a federal judge that is demanding the DOJ release this or come out and reclassify it by July 2nd. I believe that the DOJ is going to be forced to release co-conspirators and more of the redacted Epstein files by the midsummer. I think that's coming. Donald Trump earlier today, big win just moments ago at the Supreme Court in the Slaughter case, confirming presidential power in our country to remove executive branch officers and agency appointees or representatives under Article 2. This decision was long sought by United States presidents, dating all the way back to the 1930s. It is such an honor to be sitting president who won this historic and unprecedented ruling, one of the most important ever given with respect to presidential powers. Absolutely. Now, a lot of people are saying that Trump actually lost because he was not allowed to fire Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve. Actually, the Supreme Court did not rule that Trump could not fire Lisa Cook. It ruled that she can stay at the Federal Reserve while the litigation over her firing continues. Really important. I need to go into here real quick, refresh that. Just checking a few things, guys. Okay. So let me unmute this. We'll bring John Solomon back up and listen to John Solomon right here. Good grief.
The Supreme Court, major decisions. President Trump won some, he lost some today, and there are even bigger ones looming tomorrow with the forthcoming birthright citizenship decision expected to be released tomorrow, according to Chief Justice John Roberts. We're going to be talking about that all throughout the show tonight, but let's first get to today's court rulings. We had a decision about mail-in ballots as the Supreme Court ruled that federal election law did not overrule state laws permitting election authorities to count ballots postmarked by Election Day but received days later. Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote the majority opinion, arguing that federal statutes setting the day for elections of representatives, senators, and presidents do not preempt Mississippi law permitting counting mail-in ballots postmarked on Election Day but received as much as 5 days later. Now, the 5-4 decision saw Chief Justice John Roberts and Associate Liberal Justices Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson join with Barrett. So 3 liberals and 2 conservatives made that decision. Now, the court did narrow this. It is not an outright license to keep collecting unmarked ballots for days later. just those that have a postmark, which theoretically should lock in some ballots, but we'll see where that lands. Meanwhile, the court did hand a win for President Trump today, ruling earlier that he's permitted to fire commissioners from the Federal Trade Commission and handed down, and thus handed the president sweeping authority to remove executive agency employees. What the court essentially ruled today is if you're the president, you're in charge of the executive branch. That's exactly what our founding fathers intended in the Constitution. President Trump, of course, hailed that as a big win.
It was a big win. So they tomorrow, the ruling on birthright citizenship should come out today. Obviously, they ruled against mail-in ballots. That's a big shit. What is President Trump saying? He got a minute and 47 seconds. If you got some time, I'm going to let you listen to Donald Trump and talk about it. Actually, shit, I got to unmute the tab. You know, you take a few days off and go to GART, and this is what happens.
Well, because of the mail-in ballot ruling, which was a little bit surprising, gives people more time to vote illegally, let's say. But the SAVE Act is even more important, and that's the right. You have to be a citizen of our country. Okay, you have to show you're a citizen of our country, called citizenship. Voter ID by photo voter ID, and no mail-in ballots unless you're in the military, disabled, you're ill, or you're away, or even on a vacation. We're being very open about it. It's pretty easy. And we'll have honest elections. But the ruling, which a lot of people were waiting for, that was a ruling that was, I think it was very detrimental to honest elections. But it is what it is. Basically, they're keeping it a little bit the way it is now. They may have a little bit of a restriction on based on the wording.
About firing a parliamentarian.
And then you have the very important one, the Slaughter case, which we'll talk about if you ask that question.
Okay, so obviously the ruling on that court case was huge because it's basically stating that states can accept ballots after midnight on election night because, well, shit, if I mail my ballot at post-stamped, post-dated on election day, that's still voting on election day. And that's the reasoning. I understand that. So when we start to look at this, though, is there a solution to this? Is there a solution to ensure that you can't just flood ballots into the post office? Yeah, there is. And it's already been implemented. So we'll read that in a second. David Steiner. Now, if you've been listening to me for a little while, and guys, I'm not off today, just a little technically off because I keep on hitting that mute button, forgetting to hit that mute button. David Steiner, the Postmaster General of the United States Postal Service, has informed Congress that the United States Postal Service will not deliver mail-in ballots to states that refuse to comply with Trump's executive order, which ensures that people receiving mail-in ballots are U.S. citizens. What does that mean? Donald Trump's executive order kind of put it in alignment that, hey, you need to be registered, you need to be an American citizen, you have to have voter ID. Now, the post office came out about a week and a half ago, and one of the things they said is they were requesting from each and every state their voter rolls. Not only their voter rolls, but the matching QR code, scannable QR code per ballot per the people on the voter roll that matches the address. Why is that so important? Because the post office knows who's alive and who's not alive. It has federal registry. It understands that if people are on that voter roll that are not American citizens, that don't live in this country, or there's 35 people to a household and they've never received mail at a location, that is questionable. So this is going to be huge how this gets implemented. Now, one of the interesting things is if you go all the way back to September 2020, Congress actually implemented this, and I'm wondering why nobody's talking about this. The United States Postal Service actually integrated blockchain technology that do exactly what I was just talking about. The United States Postal Service holds a patent for election technology. How that election technology works and operates is the United States Postal Service receives voter roll updates from the states. That gets updated into a restricted blockchain on the United States Postal Service. When ballots come into the United States Postal Service, they are scanned in, and they have to match a person on that voter roll in order to be mailed and sent out. How easy is it to re-implement proof of citizenship in there through federal registry and records? Very, very easy. So I believe, though, that we are in the midst of a national emergency on elections. President Trump said today, in light of the tremendous loss in the Supreme Court today concerning voter rights and the fact that people's votes are allowed to be counted long after the election is over, it is more important than ever to pass the Save America Act, which is all voters must show voter ID, all voters must show proof of citizenship, no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel. There is no excuse for a politician or otherwise to be against the above three requirements. There's only one reason to oppose: cheating. The House of Representatives has approved this vital act 3 times. The United States Senate seems unable to do so. In a time when there is a powerful communist movement taking place in our country, one that is more dangerous than World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, and September 11th, all Democrats and our 5 Republican Senate holdouts, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Tom Tillis, Bill Cassidy, and Mitch McConnell, must vote to save our country. There can be no more excuses. Now, a lot of people talk that Trump doesn't really want the Save America Act to pass. And I don't think he does, because he knows it's not. But we have DNI Pulte, and I think DNI Pulte is about to rattle the hornet's nest here in the next couple weeks with a release of a report from the Election Integrity and Infrastructure Task Force that shows foreign adversaries were directly involved in stealing the 2020 election, which then gives the premise for Donald Trump to issue a national emergency on election integrity and infrastructure, which allows him to do everything that we just talked about. I think that's coming. All right. President Trump today called out gasoline retailers. They must get their prices down immediately. They're too high, considering the oil is now $68 a barrel and heading south. The retailers must quickly react to the statement or do what they know is right. Drop your price for our great American people. There will be no gouging, which is totally illegal. If retailers don't do this, big problems lie ahead. Start targeting around the $2 and $50 a gallon number. And California should stop charging such heavy taxes on the gasoline. Soon the tax will be higher than the product itself. And the United States will not stand for it, nor the people of California who are being abused by these ridiculous taxes. I love it. I remember we told you is that Trump could potentially bring about an executive order on domestic gas prices and domestic oil production. So keep that in mind, that is a possibility that we could see by mid-July, August, if Trump does seem to enact and these gas prices don't come down. The Supreme Court today actually ruled a good one. They ruled that when police obtain data through a geofence warrant, it is a Fourth Amendment search. Therefore, individuals having a reasonable expectation of privacy in their cell phone location data. Huge. We have U.S. intelligence reports found no credible public evidence that the CIA has been involved in systematically rigging or altering any American domestic election. Wait a minute. So, ODNI tasked the CIA with an internal investigation to see if the CIA was rigging elections. And the CIA came back and told ODNI that no, the CIA was not rigging domestic elections. The fuck? You know, it just goes to show that even though we can get the people that we want into positions of power, President Trump, the Trump administration, that the deep state bureaucracy, that this political infiltration still can rule and dominate, that they can still control things from afar and within the deep infiltration networks. We don't only have to change our system back to what our founding fathers originally intended. We have to eradicate it of the corruption, of the evil, of the infiltration. That needs to happen faster than we can ever imagine. I wanted to give a shout out to Sting Tammy. Josh, I saw you yesterday's GART Part 2 season. You rocked that stage. You and BB bounce it off each other perfectly. Alpha was great too. $10 Rumble Rant. Thank you so much, Sting Tammy. Appreciate that. Lisa, 888, $5. Thank you for the fringe binge. That English gentleman was amazing. Yes, he is. Thank you so much. Appreciate all the Rumble Rants and all the stuff coming in everywhere, guys, on YouTube and so forth. Okay, little transition. I've been talking about this for a while now. Oh my God. OD Zufa, Trump stole 2024. That's about the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. You know, if people are going to come into chats and make great claims, Trump stole 2024, because a former CIA guy right after the election came out and started releasing information stating that Trump stole the 2024 election, but had absolutely zero evidence or information pertaining to it. He just started the rumor. It kind of circulated on Blue Sky for a while. They started saying that Elon Musk and Donald Trump used Starlink to steal the election through ESS and S voting machines. You've been psyoped. You have no idea what you're talking about. Debate anybody on that topic. Cry, Jackie. So I've been talking about this for a while, and you're starting to hear stuff about the AI bubbles about to burst and crypto, Bitcoin's going to go to zero and all this stuff. Today, the Japanese yen is approaching a 40-year low against the US dollar. That's not a good thing. You know, during early 2020s, it was, man, I can't think of his name. It was the World Economic Forum that came out and started talking about the Great Reset. And one of the countries they believed would be the start of the Great Reset, the economic Great Reset, was going to be Japan. And why? It's because Japan has had a manipulated economy since the 1990s. You got to understand how Japan's economy works. Japan has a very complex bonds market. Reason being, after World War II, the United States of America made a deal with Japan because they would not allow them to rebuild their military. That deal was that Japan had to buy a certain amount of U.S. bonds. That purchasing of U.S. bonds would then fund the military support for Japan through the United States of America. Now, how did Japan fund that? Japan funded that through their own bond market. But in order to do that, they had to make it a law that all Japanese citizens had to own Japanese bonds within their retirement accounts, pensions, 401ks, these types of things. And one of the things that they did is they kept the bond rate incredibly low, sometimes negative to no more than 1%. And it's currently at the all-time high right now of 1%. Reason being is because those bonds go to fund buying American bonds. So today we learned that the Japanese yen, which is the Japanese currency, is at an all-time low against the US dollar. Not only that, is earlier today, yesterday morning in Japan, Japan's Nike dropped 2.25%, wiping out roughly 16 billion yen from the stock market. That is not a good thing. That's showing you that Japan's economic model is collapsing. Give a shout out right there to Wings Waga SPA Tree 0T19, becoming a premium member on YouTube. Thank you so much, brother. Then after this, you have Chinese hedge fund managers coming out and talking about the AI super bubble is about to burst. So what's this all about? This is about something known as the yen carry trade. Now, I said this earlier today when the Japanese markets began to collapse, and it did not happen. The reason it didn't happen is because something hasn't happened yet. And I'm going to talk to you about that something. I said, brace for shock. Other Asian markets tomorrow, US tech and crypto to follow. Now, interesting enough is Asian markets skyrocketed today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But right now, with the Japanese yen being at the lowest that it's ever been with the US dollar, this is going to force the Japanese central bank to raise rates. That's the problem. You're about to see massive economic turmoil. If you understand something known as the yen carry trade, let me explain how it works. Investors in Asian markets and U.S. markets, large financial institutions, they know that there's a stability with the yen and the U.S. dollar because the bond rates are basically set in stone, negative to less than 1. which means that since it's stable, you can go out there and you can borrow against the Japanese yen. So you buy a whole bunch of yen, and then from that you can kind of put it up for staking as collateralization, and you can take out marginalized money, right? Derivatives markets. And you can leverage 5 to 10x on that. Well, the Asian markets and large financial institutions, this is exactly what they do. Then they go out and they buy the market. They buy tech stocks and they buy Bitcoin, primarily in the US markets. If the Japanese central banks raise rates, well, now what happens is that yen carry trade becomes destabilized. They get calls on their collateral, which means that they have to pay a premium to keep that marginalized trade open. Most people just close them. When they close them, they have to sell off their Bitcoin, their crypto, and their US tech stocks. This typically brings us about with a market correction that happens every year or so. This next one's going to be huge. We are going to have a bloodbath in the markets within, I would say, the next few months. But the rebound of that is actually going to be really good. The reason I say that is because one of the things that this does when you see this bubble burst is it removes fake money out of the system. The money is marginalized money, money that is borrowed on collateral, that is just created in a bank account through derivatives and then thrown over here. Once you start removing that, you actually have the kind of the real true intrinsic value of these various different assets. So I think that we're going to see an economic boom in about 6 to 12 months. And President Trump actually agrees with me. He said America's 250th year is set for an economic boom. What else did Trump say? He said all this at Freedom 250 speech, which is pretty phenomenal if you didn't hear it.
From Athens to Rome, from London to Paris, from New York to LA, and from all of the other parts of the world, the great civilizations of history did not wallow in aging ruins of the past. They built new cities, they created new monuments, and they forged towering legacies that still inspire the world after hundreds and even thousands of years. As America turns 250 years old, young by comparison to some, but superior to any nation that's ever been built, no matter how many years it took. We are the inheritors of these incredible traditions. We are the ones who are carrying forward the light of Western civilization, because this is the very beginning of the golden age of America. We're in the golden age. There's never been an age like this. There's never been an age like this. This anniversary is a time to be proud of our past, but it is also a time to lift our sights, expand our ambitions, and raise our expectations of what America can be. We will leave our children nothing less than the richest inheritance, most advanced civilization, and highest standard of living in human history. There's never been anything like it. But with all of that being said, the best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come. I believe him. This man is not going to leave that office without his legacy coming about. So a lot that he said right there is a lot of things that we've talked about. How do you build the golden age? How do you redevelop this economic model? The title of the show tonight was The American Revolution 2.0. One of the things that American Revolution is uprooting the infiltration of the communist networks, of the globalist networks within the United States of America, taking back control of our country. Now, Donald Trump, when he walked down that escalator, when he gave the speech at the RNC and on his first day in office in 2016, he said that I'm returning power back to the people. But see, I said this at GART this last weekend, is I don't believe the people understood what their power was or even what it meant to take it back. There's a fourth branch of government. It's called the lobby, but equivalent with that lobby is the American people. When the American people become conjoined and united and unified in a common accord, when they rise up and hold their representatives accountable, when they hold their politicians accountable, when they demand justice, they rise above the power and influence of the lobby, of money. That is what it means to take back our power. And we have to keep on doing this every day, inside and out. We have to ensure that the people truly regain power back over this country and that we remove the infiltration networks that have subverted our Constitution. At the same time, financial and economic systems are a weapon and a tool utilized by the enemy as well as the good guys to fight this war. Scott Bessent, Donald Trump, and many others have been organizing for the 250th for the last 17 months. One of the things they've been organizing is massive amounts of investment coming into the United States of America. So over $17 trillion worth of investment coming into the United States of America. Technological progression, including declassification and disclosure of massive amounts of technology that has been in black budget projects for a very long time. That is coming. We've talked about this. They're trying to figure out how to do disclosure. They're working on it. I know there's a lot of gatekeepers, but that is coming. Think of the Genesis mission. Think about the 40,000 scientists working on that. I had the pleasure of talking to General Quast this last weekend about a lot of this stuff. It's real. It's happening. I asked him, when are we going to have anti-gravitic flying cars? You want to know what he said? Not when the technology is going to be developed. He said when the people are ready. That's coming, guys. We just have to get through all of these motions. We have to get through this revolution first. Now, there's some other news here, and I do need to bring it to your attention. 6 powerful earthquakes happened in less than 24 hours last week, with multiple other earthquakes happening over the course of a few days, plus massive amounts of volcanoes erupting around the world. Since I heard about the earthquakes and the volcanoes, I've been saying, expect a massive solar flare in the next week or so. Then I saw Michael Bradbury put out there, the sun just revealed something massive. A massive solar flare that potentially could be released and hit Earth in the next couple weeks. My thoughts? Volcanoes erupting, earthquakes, severe weather, heat waves. Expect a massive solar flare in the next week or half. Something that we're probably going to talk about on Thursday night on the OG show. A new magic mushroom allows people to see tiny gnomes, and scientists have no idea how it's doing this. And I mean, everybody who takes this new psychedelic drug, this new mushroom that has an unidentified psychoactive compound, not psilocybin, everybody's seeing little people. Everybody's seeing gnomes. I want some. If anybody's got any, let me know. They grow in forests in China. But if anybody has any of them, let me know. All right, guys. Long show tonight. Really long show tonight. But that was okay. It's good to do a long show every once in a while. Remember, no show Wednesday. We'll pick back up on Thursday, potentially Friday. Remember, I am with my family this next week, so I got to gauge Friday to see what's really going on. And maybe there will just be, I don't know, maybe there'll be a conversation on the fringe. We need to talk about this. We need to talk a lot more about a lot of different things, guys. But we're going to have to save all of that till tomorrow night. Also, tomorrow night, DEF CON 0. I do have to get going. We're at 1 hour and 30 minutes. But, guys, much love, respect, God bless. Thanks for all the Rumble Rants, Super Chats. Thanks for all the subscriptions. You guys are amazing. Rotten Dog, I did see that $10 Bitcoin come in. Thank you so much. Guys, much love, respect, God bless. Take care. Have a great night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns to silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Through the smoke, a voice still calls. We the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil under. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a last prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time. There was a time. Now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!